So joining me today is Janet Schoen from Ohio. Janet, welcome.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. I am so happy to have this interview with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to serve others with you.
You're welcome. Let's get to know who Janet is. Who is Janet? What do you do? And how do you do it?
Well, Janet is a wife and a mom, and she is a business owner and a certified coach
Mhm.
and a best-selling author. And I do my business online, but I love to interact with people and get on calls and Zooms to deliver the service and help them to grow and find their self-confidence and how they look and how they feel
Mhm.
through coaching or through the products. And the book, I am one of 25 authors in the book Unstoppable. And that's a bigger project than I realized it was gonna be as it's been going on, and it's about just getting it out and sharing it with the world because everybody can use a little bit of hope, and let me tell you, there are 25 completely different stories in there that no matter what place you're at in your life or what your is really challenging to you to your core, there's gonna be a story and we everybody loves stories,
Mhm.
and for you to relate to and to just help you to know that you can overcome whatever is standing in your way.
Yeah, I love that. So the book focuses on storytelling, or is it like you sharing your story with all the different authors?
It's us sharing our personal story, but
Mhm.
it's a book collaboration of 25 women of overcoming.
I love that. I love that so much. We all could use hope, like you said. And I think
Yes.
it's needed what you're doing and how you do it. Um, so let's get to know you more. What was it like for you growing up, and what are some challenges that have made you the woman that you are today?
Well, growing up, I grew up on in a rural agricultural area in Ohio, and I grew up on a dairy farm, and I had to do chores and help milk the cows before school and after school.
Mhm.
And the rule in our family was is that we were allowed to be in one extracurricular activity.
Mhm.
And I did track when I was in junior high, but when I was in high school, I wanted band because I love music
Mhm.
and it's in my soul, in my spirit to sing and to just enjoy it. It raises my vibration.
Mhm.
And I am the youngest of 6,
Mhm.
but I'm significantly younger than the rest of them. And growing up, even though I was in a loving home, I didn't feel seen, I didn't feel heard, and I didn't feel loved, even though I knew I was loved, but I didn't feel it to my core,
Mhm.
and that's feeling that way now, I realize has prepared me for the different journeys and the different tests that I've had through life, because when I was, a sophomore in college, after I had completed my 2nd year, my husband, now then boyfriend, was in a head-on car collision, and I had a traumatic brain injury, and I was put into a coma for 4 days and life support for 2 weeks,
Wow.
and the left side of my body was completely paralyzed, and I couldn't see, I had double vision,
Mhm.
and I'll never forget it when they finally got me at the point where they could move me to the rehab hospital. They gave me a shower, and I was in the shower chair, and the nurses were washing my body and my hair and everything, and I knew what they were doing,
Mhm.
but I knew I couldn't do it myself,
Mhm.
and I was never so humiliated in my life, and when they left after it was over, I sat there in my chair, my wheelchair, and I just said, "God, this is not okay.
Mhm.
I I am not going to stay like this for the rest of my life. I
Mhm.
am going to get my degree. I am going to get married. I am going to have kids. And I don't care. That's the way it's got to be. And
Mhm.
so then from there forth, every day when I got up in the morning, it was hard to get dressed and whatnot. Um,
Mhm.
and they were still feeding. I couldn't swallow because my larynx was paralyzed,
Mhm.
and so I was still getting fed through the night and that. And but I had made the decision that before I went to bed that night, I had to be able to do one thing
Mhm.
that I wasn't able to do when I rose that morning.
Mhm.
And every day I was able to do one new thing, whether it was a small little thing or it was a big thing. Um, it just, but I never lost hope. And I just, every day before I would go to sleep, I would say, Lord, thank you for helping me get my degree. Thank you for helping me get married. Thank you for helping me have children.
Mhm.
And I didn't know when it was going to happen, but I totally trusted. And that God had given me that, which is really the law of creation or the law of love,
Mhm.
is what he gave me. And back in those days, I didn't know anything about mindset and about the law of creation or the law of love. But
Mhm.
yet he had gifted it to me
Mhm.
when I said, there was a point when I know that I wasn't going to, I was fighting for my life.
Mhm.
I was tired. And Jesus said, you're going to be okay. And I went, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, when I said yes,
Mhm.
he made the way.
Mm. Mhm. I love that. Um, that sounds like it was very hard and traumatic to go through. To lose your ability to do the very basic things that most people do on a daily basis. Um, was there ever a time that you lost hope and didn't know what you would do? I can see that you still have hope, but was there ever a time your faith was shaky for you?
There was a day when I was in college
Hmm.
that I called my husband, then boyfriend, and said I was done
Mm.
because I wasn't coordinated. I was not the person that I had been prior to the accident.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to give up. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm going to take my life. And he's like, no, you're not.
Mm.
He's like, you at least owe me to come and say goodbye. And I thought, well, yeah, he's right. So I left him come. Well, then he jumped me and he sat on me for like literally 2 hours. And finally, after 2 hours, I just broke down and I broke it. It broke down and
Mhm.
I was through it then. And I've never been that low. I've been, I've, when my mother passed away because she was my rock,
Yeah.
um, because she told me that I could do anything I wanted to do in my life. I just had to teach a new part of my brain to do it.
Mhm.
So that was kind of like she gave me the license, and I'm so glad that I got to realize that prior to her passing away. And I thanked her and I said, "Oh my gosh, you were Jesus's little messenger girl. If it
Yeah.
wouldn't have been for you and you being the messenger, I would not be who I am today."
Mhm.
And so I I did I toyed with depression after that, but I know what I'm looking for, and I understand that depression it's not something that anyone chooses,
Mhm.
but it's something that affects everyone in our life.
Mhm.
And if when it starts to get dark, you need to have God or you have to have someone close that you can open to, or
Mhm.
it's really hard to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for being so open, honest of what you had to go through to become who you are and the things that you learn from it. You're right. Depression it's hard and it's no one's fault. unfortunately, we do live in a society that, they make those who suffer feel small instead of supported and heard. Um, what would you say to anyone who is, starting their healing journey, whether it's from a car accident or some kind of illness that has shifted their mindset and forever changed their lives? What would you say to them?
One, don't watch the news, block out the media, and fill your heart, fill your brain, fill your ears with nothing but positiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to podcasts, like just watch anything that can brings joy to your heart, whatever that may be, because everyone's joy is different because we're all created different,
Mm-hmm.
but of of the same
Yeah.
likeness and spirit of God
Mm-hmm.
or the universe. I mean, depending, I believe in God, so I like to say God.
Yeah.
Um, but block out block out the negative and surround yourself with nothing but joy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
laughter, and always to help you to become present, stop
Mm-hmm.
and just breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Breath will bring you present,
Mm-hmm.
and when presence is there, you will be able to make that step out of your uncomfortable zone, out of your habitual actions, out of anger, out of any kind of emotional state that you're in that you're not wanting to experience. Don't resist it because resistance only feeds it. So stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I know acknowledging it is enough, but those that need a little more, just take that breath. And I mean, a deep one is good, but just taking a simple breath will still bring you present so that you have the ability to make a choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. And because we can feel so much and be able to express so little, right? It's doing exactly what you said. Yeah. How did you find the trauma, um, on a mental level? How did it impact your mindset when you were going through that?
Initially, God put a bubble around me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I I became that positive thing. I If you told me I couldn't do something, well, I was gonna prove you wrong. I was gonna do it. If you told me if I couldn't, then it was absolutely I was going to be able to do it. Because
Mm-hmm.
and it might not be great, but I was gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got better and I went back to college and life got harder. I mean, because then I wasn't in my little bubble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was, I'm still working and I want to work every day to work on releasing the judgment and
Mm-hmm.
and a narrow point of view. It's always good to look at expanding yourself and just don't
Mm-hmm.
don't give up and I believe in hope, faith, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three vitamins you need in order to achieve anything in any area of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Um, it's doing what you can and excelling in what you do best, even though you might fail. Um, some of us were afraid of failing because if we fail, those who surround us or watching us see us as failures, which is their perspective. It's not necessarily who we are as the beautiful souls that we are. Um, what are some of your greatest accomplishments?
Getting my degree, getting married, and having those children,
Mm-hmm.
and now being able to take that story that God has given me
Mm-hmm.
to share with the world and have it be in this book, the book Unstoppable, and share it with the world and be a best-selling author.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another book that's in my computer that when the timing is perfect, it will come out, and that one will stretch people
Mhm,
because it's the faith and it's the little miracles that I see day in and day out of my life, and
mhm,
to let me know that I'm not walking alone.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, are there certain routines or habits that you've had to hang on to, to heal and to help others?
Well, I habits
Mhm,
not so much, but who I am authentically is to be empathetic. I can see, when you have after being through trauma,
mhm,
um not that I've been through every different kind of trauma and that what my trauma was is like everybody, I have a heart that
mhm,
can understand the point of view, and I can sympathize, but I also want to, and as I'm growing daily, I am learning how to empower women to rise up, that you don't have to accept that you're just, as I
mhm,
used to say, just a stay-at-home mom, or just a daughter, or just a business owner, or just you're more than just.
mhm,
You're
mhm,
so much more, and the things that write on your heart,
mhm,
let's bring them alive and let's bring them to creation. And failure is not a bad thing. We are all raised,
mhm,
well, not all, but a lot of us are raised that failing at something is a really bad thing.
mhm,
And you know what? It's not. Failing, you can look at it as, oh, I just learned how not to do it. Like Thomas Edison, he invented what was it, 10,000 light bulbs that didn't work?
mhm,
And
mhm,
he says, no, I didn't have 10,000 failures. I just had 10,000 learning lessons to get me to that one that actually worked.
mm. I love that. Yeah. Um, how can we continue to build meaningful relationship in life?
Just reaching out to new people every day, whether it's in person or online. I mean, when you do it online, you need to be careful. I mean, definitely, go through someone's page and whatnot, because there are times when I've like connected with people and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and they're not who they put themselves out to be,
Mhm,
and that in itself,
mhm. Yeah.
I I wish. I know showing up authentically as who you are is scary, but it's one of my superpowers, okay? Because I know no other way. And
Mhm,
if I can just help create an environment to allow someone to step and be who they are authentically,
mhm,
then I'm helping you to be who you were created to be. And that is bigger than me. That almost gives me
mhm,
chills. That would be like super job of the year
mhm.
or of the lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is scary to be vulnerable, to be open, and to let people see what breaks us. Um, because there's shame that ties into it, looking for things that are not in the place that they're supposed to be. An example, I love that you mentioned, you're not just a stay-at-home mom. That's what I used to tell myself, right? Um, just because someone's not necessarily following what society tells them to do doesn't mean they're less than, right? It's to find those small things
Mhm.
to be grateful for and to be appreciative of them.
And we need to be very careful with labels.
Mm, yes.
Labels, labels, because I mean, let's think about it. Like, Dean Graziosi, he's very but he growing up couldn't read.
Mm,
He has dyslexia, and he was labeled as the dumb kid or dumb or Jim Quick, the kid that had the broken brain, I mean, as children, you take those labels on and you carry them.
Yes.
And those then become limiting beliefs because someone has put a label on you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's I mean, it's not undoable because honey, I'm working through it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and working through those, it's worth it because we only get one life. It's not long in the realm of of everything. It's not very long
Mm-hmm.
because the next life, I believe, is for eternity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our job here is to prepare ourselves and our bot not so much our bodies, but our spirits and our souls
Mm-hmm.
to be the children that we were created to be. So when we get up there,
Mm-hmm.
he'll say, "Wow, you've done a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome home."
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What has your faith means to you?
For me, faith is my superpower. It
Mm-hmm.
it is my shield. Um and it's it's my father and mother now that my mom and dad are gone. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
God is my father and Mary's my mother, and
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that even because there's so many different faiths and there's so many different beliefs, just believe that there's something bigger and bigger than us that's out there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's supporting you. That is so important because it will help you and it'll help guide you, and because there are signs every day if you're open to seeing them, hearing them, or feeling them.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that. And when you don't have those signs or whatnot, then I'm like, oh, I must have been a little closed-minded today.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to do better tomorrow. Well, then when the next day comes, it's like, okay, thank you for this day. I obviously have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Help me to be open to whatever is there and guide me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think we can always find beauty in spite of what we're facing. And there are so many incredible organizations and groups and individuals that are making positive impacts wherever they are. Um, but at times, those individuals are left to feel separated or alone. And it's hard for them. In my case, at least, it was, right? Um, because we all have dreams and desires, and we all have the ability to express what we need and how others can support us. Um, yeah, I want to ask you, how can people support you and your journey?
By sharing my content
Mm-hmm.
because it comes from a good place,
Mm-hmm.
and I there is a I am more convinced as I am going on my journey that there is a community that everyone can find
Mm-hmm.
that they will feel like they belong. I mean, like, because a few weeks ago, my husband was watching a documentary on of these people that eat like really, really hot peppers, and they were having, and the one lady, she had been a addict or an alcoholic, and she's like, these people are like me, I mean, not that everybody was an alcoholic, but how she had trauma that she was carrying from her, and shame from her past, and she's like, these people get me. I mean, if someone can just have the love of eating hot peppers and find a community, then you know what? There is a community for everyone.
Mhm,
And don't give up hope of finding it.
mhm,
Listen to what people say around you. Listen to what you're called to follow on social media. If it doesn't feel, and another thing I've learned is if you see something that someone else has,
mhm,
don't be jealous,
mhm.
because you know what? It's being put in front of you to say, look, this is possible for you.
Yeah.
You just have to do the work and take the actions. And it doesn't always have to be big, big steps.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like when I was getting better, it was that
Mhm,
one thing that I didn't do when I got up
mhm,
that I could do before I went to bed.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, I love that. Um, what inspires you to keep doing what you do and to keep helping others?
The energy that comes with it.
Mhm. I love that. I love
That's it's what I call it God energy, because it's like energy. It is not any energy from any food or any drink or anything. And it just like it's just love. It's like a mass of love that just like is running through my veins. And it just makes me feel so, so good. I mean, that's just
Mhm,
that is, I mean, yes. And I know, I mean, we all would love to have the finances and everything, but just believe that as long as I keep my heart in the right place and I serve people and I give value to people,
mhm,
it'll
mhm,
take it's it will work itself out.
mhm,
Somehow, I don't know the end game. That's why I didn't write the
mhm,
story for a long time. I didn't know how the story ended,
mhm,
but
mhm.
I don't need to know the ending.
Yeah, yeah, it's having faith in the now, because so many of us want to live in tomorrow and we don't always live in the present, and we miss those precious time that are just it's just flying by.
Yes.
Yeah.
And true to find true love, joy, peace, and fulfillment can't
Mhm,
be found in the past,
mhm,
can't be found in the future. It's
mhm,
only in the now.
mhm. I agree. What are some of your favorite hobbies that you enjoy doing in your pastime or
I do love a good podcast. I have my go-tos. I like fill them with my ears
Mhm,
or books. I love books.
mhm,
I love watching my children compete. They're runners. I love that.
mhm.
Um, in music.
Oh yeah, you said
And
you sing. Tell me more.
yes, well, when I was in college, I was studying to become a music educator. Well, I
Mhm,
got my degree, but without certification because there
mhm,
was no way this girl could do that.
mhm,
Just getting the degree was enough. That was a goal and that was enough.
mhm,
And but now I sing with the church choir, and if you're friends with me and it's your birthday, and if I can get all my work done in a day, you'll get a message of happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
mhm. I love that.
Because
Yeah.
because I love to sing, and I feel that I'm blessed with a decent voice.
Mhm,
I may not be Tina Turner or Whitney Houston, but I'm not too shabby.
mhm,
And and I know that it's part of, and when you sing with prayer, you're praying double.
mm, mhm. Yeah, I love that. Um, it sounds like it brings you joy, and that's what
Yes.
counts. Um, I sing, not professionally, I always say, right?
Well, me
It's
either,
what
honey.
yeah, it's what it's doing for you, not what people think it should do or expectation of what it should do. It's enjoying those little things and making the best of them.
Yes, and, like, I sing and, like, when my boys were little, I take, like, nursery rhymes and that theme or whatever, and I put words to it, and I sing it, and,
Mhm.
and for a while there in my stories on Facebook, I was doing, "How are you? How's your day going?
Yeah.
What's new with you?" And I don't know, and then I wasn't getting a whole lot of response, and so I
Mhm.
kinda switched it up, and then the other day, someone's like, "You" it was their birthday, and they're like, "Oh, I just got a singing gram from you. I've missed you."
Oh, that's nice.
And so, I mean, it's definitely something that's supposed to be part of my journey, and it
Mhm.
comes out when it's appropriate now, or at least when I think it's appropriate, let's put it that way.
As long as it's blessing you and others, it's working. Mhm. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
That she's a beautiful young lady, and she is stronger than she knows, and
Mhm.
she will never walk alone, and just trust her heart.
Mhm. Mhm. That's beautiful because not all of us know what we would say. We either obviously have grown from that place and headspace. But I think there's power in the now, also in going back and healing.
Yes,
Mhm.
I've been doing a lot of that here just recently, and,
Mm. Mhm.
it's a work that needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What speaking of healing, I want to ask you, what does healing mean to you? That's one thing I focus on the podcast.
Um, right now, I mean, physical I listen to a lot of things, so I can't always reference everything,
Mhm.
but healing from physical issues is actually, I mean, easier than healing from emotional because emotion goes deep.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's neural pathways that are created with that emotional stress that you've gone through and trauma. You know, some people get very angry, even myself.
Mm.
I mean, when I am pushed and pushed and pushed and I get at my max, like I will just blow up
Mm.
and that's not who I am. That's not who I was created to be. And that's just the trauma coming out.
Mm. Mhm.
And it's I'm trying to write down like the things that trigger me, why do I feel like why do I feel like I'm in trouble? Why do I feel like I could possibly be in trouble? Why do I feel like I'm not worthy? Why do I feel like I'm not enough?
Mm.
It's so that way I can look back
Mhm.
and see, okay, well what's going on in each of these situations that is a reoccurring thing that's going on and on and on.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah. I can say that you're not alone in how you feel because so many of us walk around feeling the same way or possibly worse. It's learning to love the self. I can probably say I love who God made me to be today, but it wasn't always that way. It was a lot of work to go places that I did not want to go because it was painful. And people reminded me that it was painful. It wasn't just me, right? It's stepping up and doing the work and believing what we're working on and the reason for it.
yes,
Mhm.
it's not easy.
Mhm.
It's not easy.
Mhm.
But going back and, taking yourself back to that little girl or whatever age you were where
Mhm.
where there was the very first time you had distress emotionally
Yeah.
and go back and just tell her that she's okay. I do that almost daily right now.
Mhm.
Um and the tears that come, they're not like boohoo tears. They're just cleansing tears, and there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing don't judge them. I mean, just let them come, and they actually don't make you tired. I mean, I mean, I guess I do somewhat if it's for an extended period of time, but usually you don't do that work for long, for hours on end or even an hour.
Mhm,
You take the 5 to 20 or 30 minutes to work on it
mhm,
and um to learn that because I love people and I thought that I could just get by and help people by loving other people.
mhm.
And it doesn't work that way. You have to love yourself. And
Yeah.
I didn't. I did not love who
Mhm,
I was
mhm,
from the inside, even though I knew that I had gifts to share. I
mhm,
wasn't I wasn't going to be able to
mhm,
until I started to work on me.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. Self-love is so important, and so many of us don't have enough of it for ourselves. Some other things we would say about ourselves, we wouldn't say that to a friend or about a friend. Um, I love that you've taken the time and the care to go deeper to understand the meaning behind your suffering and the causes of them. It takes a lot of bravery to do that.
Oh, and I believe that everything happens in life at the appointed time and for a reason
Mhm,
more than we would ever know. And when after the accident happened, I was like, I want to know why this happened to me. Well, I know why. Well, I don't know, I know, but I know, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
that it's so I can help other people heal
Mhm,
and to rise up to
mhm,
become who they were created to be.
mhm, mhm. I can tell you've already done that, and you're still doing that, and you're still walking in your truth and purpose. And through that, you're blessing and inspiring so many, myself included.
Well, my goal is to do it to my very last breath, babe.
Mhm. I
I want to
believe you will. You
I
will.
want to say, and I always say I'm a child at heart.
Mhm,
And I've analyzed that. Um
mhm,
why do I feel that way?
mhm,
And because when we're born, we are born with unconditional love and we only learn how to not like things and how different whatnot. And that pure love
mhm,
is something that I got to see and I got to experience when I had my accident. And I am here. And I wish that I could just drop an itty bitty raindrop of it on
mhm,
everyone that I touched because
mhm,
they would see life in a whole new ballpark.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I think some traumas really awaken us to fully be who we are supposed to be versus who our families or friends think we're supposed to be. It's a journey at times we have to go alone and those places that we don't like. But once
Yep.
we come out, it's beautiful to see.
Yep. I'm always trying to imagine, my wings on my body that I'm becoming a butterfly. My
Mhm,
wings are getting stronger with every step that I take.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, I believe that. Um, do you have any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to share with our listeners that we haven't covered?
Just don't ever give up. And if you're in a dark place, reach out.
Mhm,
Reach out to God, reach out to the universe, reach in whoever you believe in, reach
mhm,
out to your friend or just whoever you know that you can go to because
mhm.
it's hard.
Yeah.
And the journey is we're not meant to do it alone
Mhm,
and we're not alone.
mhm,
You have to figure out who and how you're not alone.
mhm,
And that's important. Whether even if you're not in a dark place, ever find out who your who is or who you can
mhm,
go to
mhm,
and tap into when you're at that when you're having a rough day. Let's just say
mhm,
that when you're just having a rough day, that you've spilled your coffee, your gas tank is on E, and and you're out of milk and you're out of bread and you're at your wit's end and everybody's calling on you and everybody wants everything from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a breath
Mhm. Mhm.
and then make a choice.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And I see that you want to be a motivational speaker, and I know you'll do so great at it. I hope that goes well, in your journey of starting that.
Well, it will come at its appointed time.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Where can my listeners find you, Janet?
They can find me on Facebook
Mhm.
at Janet Schoen, and that is Schoen. And then in parentheses, I have Janet Shane Gottemoeller, which was my maiden name, which is Goettemoeller, like Moust.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll make sure to share it with the audience.
Yes, and, drop in my messenger. I do look, at the request folders and that, a hello won't get you in my door, though. A
Yeah, you
hello
gotta say
is
more.
is too open of a door, and,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
just share, you
Yeah.
know, just say, "Hey, I heard you," or, "Hey, let's connect," or just
Mhm.
a smiley face, a love heart, it's
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I
share.
get that. Yeah, thank you. Well, Janet, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing. And I thank God for you because He had brought you on my path and many others. And I know this is going to be a conversation to be remembered.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity and the chance and to share again. That's that's what it's about, is sharing it and helping others.
You're right. It is. Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.